What kind of adult drags a 12-year-old into a legal battle over a bike repair stand? I found out the hard way, sitting in a folding chair at our HOA's emergency meeting, my son Malik beside me in his church clothes, hands folded like he was in trouble for something worse than fixing flat tires. It started 5 months ago. Malik's best friend Devin got diagnosed with a bone condition that needed a brace insurance wouldn't fully cover. Malik came home from the hospital visit quiet, then spent that whole night on his laptop looking up how much the brace cost. The next morning he asked if he could set up a bike repair stand in our driveway. He'd been fixing chains and patching tires for neighborhood kids for free since he was 9, so this wasn't some overnight idea. I told him it probably wouldn't last past July. Instead, he made flyers, taught himself how to true a wheel from online tutorials, and started charging $5 a fix, all of it going into an envelope labeled Devin's Brace Fund in block letters, taped shut so he wouldn't be tempted to touch it. Everything was fine until our neighbor Roger Voss decided he didn't like bikes stacked at the end of our driveway. Roger had lived 2 houses down for a decade, mostly kept to himself, until his own son, Tyler, 16, tried starting a premium detailing service, basically wiping down cars with a rag and calling it ceramic coating, charging $40 a wash. Nobody in the neighborhood used him after the first week, mostly because he left swirl marks on Mrs. Ferreira's hood. Meanwhile, kids kept lining up at Malik's stand because he was cheap, reliable, and 12. Roger started parking across the street with a clipboard, timing how long the bike lines got. Then he filed a formal complaint with the HOA claiming Malik's unlicensed commercial operation was devaluing the street and creating a liability hazard. When that got laughed out of the first review, he escalated, hired an actual attorney, a guy named Dobbins, who sent us a certified letter citing obscure lines from the HOA bylaws about non-residential commercial activity and demanding Malik cease operations or face a formal hearing with possible fines against our household. Malik cried the night that letter came. He thought he'd get our family in trouble, thought he'd ruined everything for Devin. I told him we'd go to the hearing and explain it plainly. No lawyer, no games. The meeting happened in the clubhouse, folding chairs arranged in rows, the HOA board up front behind a table with name placards nobody needed. Dobbins stood and gave a presentation with actual charts, tracking estimated street congestion from bikes lined against our curb. He argued Malik's stand created an uneven commercial landscape that unfairly disadvantaged other youth enterprises in the neighborhood, meaning Tyler's detailing business, though he never said the name directly. Roger sat with his arms crossed, nodding along like this was Congress. When it was our turn, Malik stood up without me telling him to. He'd brought a spiral notebook where he'd logged every repair, date, bike, what he fixed, how much he charged. He read off the running total, $640, every cent still sitting untouched except for $12 spent on patch kits. He explained Devin's diagnosis in a shaky voice, then read a line from a text Devin's mom had sent him after he handed over the first $100. You have no idea what this means to us right now. Then one of the board members, a woman named Eileen, who'd lived on the street longer than Roger, asked if anyone had actually complained about noise, safety, or property damage from the stand. Silence. She asked Roger directly if his complaint had anything to do with his son's business struggling. Roger's face went red, and he said this wasn't about that, but nobody in the room believed him, including his own lawyer, who suddenly seemed very interested in his shoes. The board didn't even need to deliberate long. They dismissed the complaint unanimously, citing no actual violation of the bylaws, and Eileen added, almost like a warning, that the HOA wouldn't be entertaining personal disputes disguised as policy concerns going forward. Walking out, Malik didn't gloat. He just quietly folded his notebook shut. A week later, Devin got fitted for his brace, and Malik used the last of the fund to buy a card for him that said, "You're gonna crush it," in his own crooked handwriting. Roger still doesn't wave when he drives past. Tyler, though, showed up at our driveway a few weeks later, awkward and unsure, and asked Malik if he could teach him how to true a wheel. Malik said sure, no charge.